Yeah, baby. Yeah. The Mac is back. Back with another video. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Ionikola, and today we're having a look at ultraSPHERE by Sample Logic. Now, Sample Logic is a pretty new company to me. Personally, I haven't played any of their stuff before. I've known about them for quite some time, and actually not quite a few, but a couple viewers on this channel have been asking questions about some of their stuff and, you know, comparing to other stuff. So I'm really interested in diving in and seeing what they are about. Now, in terms of who Sample Logic is or are, they apparently based in North Carolina. North Carolina. No, that's a different place. Established in New York originally. So in summary, they say cutting edge digital tools for composers, musicians, producers, sound designers. And seems like the emphasis is blurring the line between music and sound design. So yeah, you know, I'm always, if you watched some of my videos on some of those libraries that do actually, you know, take interesting sound design and do manage to blend it with sort of more musical components. I'm a big fan of that. I think that's a really tough space to be, you know, good at, good in. I don't know what preposition goes in there, but yeah, so big fan of that. We'll see how that kind of pans out. In terms of what ultraSPHERE is, let me open the manual here, which I got. So they call this a soundscape designer. So you know that I'm pretty interested by by now, just based on that description here. And also this seems to be based on a new engine, I think, which is called Ultra. So kind of the name of the library is Sphere, but it's ultraSPHERE because it's Ultra engine and sphere. In terms of the name itself, it doesn't come across as very, like, I don't immediately know what this is about. It seems sort of you know, a bit vague or generic in that sense, but you know, which is fine. Not everything needs to be you know, super connotationally loaded or you know, named in that way, but it does kind of represent some, or it does bring some issues when somebody is looking at this, only sees this and wonders what this is about. Obviously having soundscape designer there helps, but not like a super easy sell on the name alone. So new engine, I believe they've been doing Kontakt stuff before, if I understood correctly from the website. So it seems like they are transitioning into this this new engine of their own, as you know, many companies aren't doing now. I don't know what it's like to, you know, live in this Kontakt world. I know Native Instruments must be, you know, taking their slice of the pie in one way or the other. But yeah, it seems like a common trend now, I would say. And you know, that might be it's either a good or a bad thing based on individual basis. Depends on how good the engine is. But interesting to see how it turns out. In terms of kind of like a summary of this, they say there's 1,700 instruments and presets in here. So quite a few. Over 10 gigs of sample content. So it is a sample-based instrument. They call this a 4-core sample engine with intelligent XY mixer automation instead of a stupid mixer automator, which is really annoying. Don't put one of those in your instrument. Yeah, then a bunch of other stuff: ARP, sequencer, chord player, drag and drop, LFO, velocity, key modulator. Okay, yeah, makes sense. And I think that pretty much summarizes that part which I want to touch on from this manual here. I do want to just touch on the interface right out of the gate, the way this looks. This is obviously quite simplistic. It looks more like utilitarian and sort of, you know, function oriented rather than, again, trying to sell any kind of a mood or kind of a mental landscape. So no fancy visual graphics, texts. This is pretty much like bare bones in that sense, very utilitarian oriented. So again, it doesn't want to tell me what it sounds like. And again, at the end of the day, what matters the most is the sound, obviously. But I do want to touch on this from the perspective of this doesn't make it really possible to understand what it sounds like before you press any keys, which, you know, there are ups and downs to that approach. But I did want to touch on that because I'm rather surprised by it. You know, very utilitarian, very minimal, very simplistic. But then when I look at some of their other stuff, there's you know, if I'm on their website, I look at ultraSPHERE, that like a very modern, polished, simplistic, minimal, I'd say very modern interface, very stylistic. You know, even like Animation Station here looks, again, super simplistic, but like sort of more polished and stylized, I would say. ultraSPHERE, again, like a super simple, very polished interface. Same one used in, I believe, the GuitarSPHERE. Again, the look of it, you know, super nice. So I was expecting to see some of that same stuff here, but this seems like a departure from that. I do like the other style a lot more. Like, I love interfaces that make me feel inspired and make me feel like I can, you know, lose myself in the mood and the feel of it. Obviously, the interface needs to look the way that it actually sounds like. But yeah, I mean, that's a question mark in my book, because this looks drastically different from that approach. But, you know, as musicians, at the end of the day, we care most about the sound. So don't let that be like a bump in the road that makes you drive off the road, because we haven't even heard what this sounds like. And indeed, this is a blind demo. So this is my first look of this. Might as well touch on transparency at this point. So Sample Logic did reach out and send me this this copy. So first of all, thank you to them for doing that. And as always, all opinions are my own, both in good and bad. I haven't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that. In terms of what you'll be hearing today, it's only ultraSPHERE in action. I don't add any effects, no delay, no reverb, no EQ, nothing. I only have a limiter on my master bus, which is there to make the level for this video decent and consistent and listenable. It is set to be as transparent as possible, so you get the best impression of what this actually sounds like right out of the box, which is my main interest, really. In terms of what we're going to actually do today is go through as many presets as we possibly can, which tends to be my way of kind of exploring the sound of the library the most, to give you an idea of what you get right out of the box. If we go into the preset menu here, it opens up this view. I'm just going to check that you actually see it. Yes, you do, because sometimes those kind of menus don't translate to the video capturing device or software. Right off the bat, I really like the fact that it's very tag heavy. Makes my life easier. Obviously, we don't know how much we agree with the tagging so far, but you know, it's a start. I did see from the manual that it's really easy to re-tag things, which is fantastic. So if you do think, oh, this sound isn't actually, let's say, euphoric spiritual, which we have here, then you can retag that. You can redefine what it is to you. So that's great. But yeah, I love tagging because it makes this super fast, because I know, okay, I want to do something, let's say dark and scary, and I can go in the dark and scary folder and see what presets match to that description. And as you can see, you can also combine them. So you can go sequencer emotion with dark and scary, or mixed emotions and dark and scary. That sounds like my life. Oh my, it's already a great library. It makes me feel understood. So yeah, super cool. This is a bit confusing because favorite folder and user folder are sort of bold texts, but the way this is laid out makes me think that like build up and these things below the favorite thing are part of the favorite folder. If you get what I mean. And then things under user are would be under the user category, which is not the case. So I would probably reposition those somehow or do something different with them, because it seems like they are a bunch of this. They are part of this favorite or user camp. But yeah, they're not. So, but yeah, I like this. And if you don't choose anything, then we see all of the presets. And looking at this, it's not, maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe this is restricting something, but it doesn't seem like, I mean, it's a hefty amount. It's a good amount, but it doesn't seem like a ton. And I'm obviously thinking about this from the perspective of doing this video. But I think that we could actually do all of the ones in here. Maybe. We'll see, but we'll at least try. But yeah, I dig this tagging structure here. In terms of the let's do like an interface overview here. I'll probably start. Okay, so we have the preset box here up in the middle. Underneath, you see these cores, which represent these, I believe, these 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the different colors here in the areas. Those have mutes and solos. It's nice that they're simply laid out here, kind of like that. Would they be clear within the boxes of 1, 2, 3, and 4? Maybe this is, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent on that. I did say this is super, simplistic looking, utilitarian, no kind of vibe much to speak about, but it is very clearly color coded. So you do see here the different colors, obviously, of the zone, and we see this automated XY thing moving here. And as you look down in this, this kind of, I don't know, it looks like a DAW sequence, area thingy-majingy. Those colors are also shifting in accordance to the position of the XY, which, but yeah, my point is it's very clear to follow, although it's not visually super like interesting or inspiring to me. It's very easy to follow. So, and that's the most important thing after all. So, but yeah, inside each of these, cores, I believe as they're called, you have a source. So this does use audio samples, as we touched on, and then it's doing a bunch of different things to those samples. But if I click on the zone 1, the source box, it opens this source browser. In here, again, you have these different cores. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. These sources are named based on, well, they're named sphere and then a number. First, I was a bit like, oh, this is going to be, it seems a bit tedious, but then I started to think about a different approach, which is like, am I going to uniquely name each source if I have, 1,700 of them or whatever. So I actually like this. And again, apparently the tagging system is, super simple and nice. So you can retag stuff. And let me actually see. Okay, yeah. So you click on the source and then you click edit tags and you can edit stuff from there. But this is actually, if you start sculpting things, this actually makes things easier to follow. In terms of like, are you going to go through each and every source on its own to understand what it's like? Probably not. You're probably going to start with presets and then find things that you like and then tag them and move forward from there. So yeah, with this approach, probably a fan of this numbering system more than, you know, digging for individual names. But yeah, it does mean you have no idea of knowing what's in here at all. But I do understand why they did it, and I would probably do the same thing, I would guess. I don't know. We have to spend a bit more time with this. But the point is, you can go in each of these cores and then change the source samples based on that. In the middle, you have this XY page that is moving. You can also show mods, so, you know, modulation sources. We got LFOs. We got apparently 6 of those. Some key mods. We have a sequencer. So again, this kind of velocity-based thing. Apparently, yes. So the usual thing, you can click and drag to paint whatever you want pattern in there. Note length sequencing as well. Pitch offset. And then we have effects. All right. So a bit of an EQ, delay, reverb, compressor. Nice. Cool. What I don't see here is what it's, you know, specifically doing, how it's processing these source samples that are here. So if I look at the boxes, let's say number 1, I got volume, pan, pitch, transpose, and then sample start controls. But I don't know what it's doing to those things. And it seems out of this interface, it seems pretty, I can't see any information indicating what it's doing to that. But maybe that will unfold to us as we start playing these presets. So let's do that. Let's go into the preset navigator, and I'm just going to start from A. Let's actually start from the default. So this is the very default thing that comes up as you start playing. We need to get a level going here with this limiter thing. So bear with me as we get a level. So interesting, there is a frequency analyzer here down in the, I don't know what to call this zone, where we get these boxes down here with all the core colors. So that's a pretty nice touch and actually pretty usable just in terms of giving you an idea of, okay, what kind of frequency areas am I dealing with here? Also, as we click or play the notes, we can see what it's playing. In terms of playing through the sample, and then I see in most cases the line that is tracking the progress of the play of the sample stops, and then it begins to presumably do other stuff, presumably processing the sample in various ways. I actually do want to jump back into the manual here just to see whether they actually speak about what they do. So obviously with these kind of libraries, I'm immediately thinking about granular synthesis, but it doesn't seem like this is based on that at all. In fact, if I, look at, and again, I'm only glancing through this manual here, but they don't seem to get super specific about the what it's doing. Sculpt, manipulate, animate your sounds, infuse your soundscapes with rich pads, complex sweeps, airy textures, and synthetic drones. Gone are the days of static samples. They talk about layering options here, powerful bandpass filter section, 10 independent modulators, allowing you to sculpt and automate vast array of parameters, inject live, animated tremolo, vibrato, lush unison effects, powerful filter modulation, filter envelope automation, push boundaries with FM synthesis, apply same LFOs, modulator shapes to effect sends. Okay, so it seems like it's just using that and combining it to process these sounds. It's not super clear, at least based on this. They don't have like a one-liner, one sentence of summarizing what this does in terms of technology. So it's really just combining a bunch of different modulation and those other things to process these sounds. But yeah, I mean, at least based on that, pretty difficult to, from a technical standpoint, to gather or grasp what it's doing here. And again, anytime I see a sample and I see that line going there, I'm thinking granular synthesis, because that tends to be one of those things. But it's not part of this. And you can reverse stuff. All right, so it's kind of like combining a bunch of those elements to process these different samples, which is interesting. I think that could maybe use a bit more sort of copywriting, or maybe find a way to communicate what this does technically as well, because it does have this communicational challenge, because again, the name, the look of this, the lack of like a visual message, and then we have this technical aspect also, which it doesn't outright say what it's using. I mean, it did, but it's multiple sentences which you have to put together. So again, I think that would help people also understand what they're getting themselves into. Let's start going into these presets finally. Sorry that I'm a bit rambling here, but I really genuinely want to understand what this is about. So that's why I do want to dig into those. This one is called Artificial Inhabitants. So yeah, pretty nice, kind of more organic soundscapes. Let's keep playing. Next preset, Aurora Veil. I'm still recovering from a flu, so don't judge me. So yeah, I'd say so far they're definitely delivering on the musicality meeting the sound design. Again, as I said before, super difficult space to do magical stuff, but it seems like they do get it really, really well. It has like this cinematic and soundscapey sound, but at least from I know we've only played 2 presets, but it does give off this kind of organic quality to it. It's like I'm listening to, you know, life, maybe alien life, but you know, some kind of a life there. Also, I can see that there's quite a bit of low end in these, and I know I'm playing the low end of these samples, and I'm primarily doing that because I find that, to my taste, if I start going really high up on these type of soundscapey things, they become quite brittle and harsh. Again, we'll see if that is the case here. And again, it's not a criticism towards this library. It's just to the general approach of doing sound design plus, you know, musicality or music stuff. It's just when you go with these samples to the high registers, they don't impart sound, you know, qualities that are to my taste. So I'll probably stay in this zone. We'll, you know, have a peak here and there, but you know, I like to stay in the, you know, lower mid or low register. Gives the most kind of atmosphere and mood that I'm after. But yeah, there's quite a bit of low end, which means that getting like a decent level for this video, I'm kind of limited by how far I can push it without clipping, but there is a fair bit of low end happening here, so do listen on a decent system. Next preset. And again, the point of the low end wasn't like a criticism. It's very nicely balanced, but you know, if there is more of it, I can't really push the limiter. Really impressed by the imaging there, especially on this register. There was a sound sort of to the left, to the top. I can actually hear the verticality of it, which is always super impressive to hear. Again, giving off these kind of very organic vibes. Kind of reminds me of some of the stuff I've heard from carbon-based life forms, the group, the band. I don't know what they're called, but yeah, kind of gives me that alien organic vibe there. Yeah, these have a very nice image to them, and also like the fact that these aren't over pushed. Like these are sitting in a very nice, natural place, and that's always a great thing. If I want to push them more, I can always EQ or take them, or you know, compress them and take them into a direction. But these very nice, organic, natural sound, I do enjoy that a lot. One of the things I think they could add, at least if it's in the manual or the descriptions, is the source samples, like what's in there, because it seems like there's a fair bit of diversity there, but even because those source samples are presumably quite has a wide selection of them. Would be nice to get an idea of like what's in there, because not everything is in there, but it's doesn't seem to be like a super narrow selection of those either. So from a branding standpoint and a selling standpoint, I think that would be super useful information to get to know what this is like. And again, if it's in the manual, I do apologize, but it didn't, I didn't catch my eye, at least. Yeah, very cinematic, very moody. And the key word that I'm thinking about here is open. Again, this kind of relates to the natural aspect of what this sounds like, but it's very open, very breathes very nicely, so that's cool. Loving this, what I'm seeing here in the middle. This is clearly like a free-drawn pattern, which this XY pad is now following or tracing. Really cool, really, really nice. So yeah, you can draw your own pictures. Don't draw what you're thinking right now, because I know you're thinking about it. Don't do it. That's not okay. In fact, this interface prevents you from doing it. If it detects that shape, you're going to be canceled. It's going to undo your license, and then it's over. So don't draw that. But yeah, really cool feature. Really liking that. There's a bit of limiter distortion there, so it wasn't the library. I thought that said careless whispers. I almost got excited. Yeah, really, really good sound design here. I also like the clarity of following these, because you can listen to that and then you decide, oh, I don't want that glittery thing there or that thing here, and you can just easily, pinpoint them and find them in here. Obviously here we can see how the sphere and number categorizing doesn't necessarily make it very fast or clear to know which element is which one. Obviously you can mute and solo any of them to find out fast, so not a real issue, but a point to consider, because in this context the information is kind of useless, other than making a note of the source samples that you like. But here it would be, if I saw that something said sparkle or glitter, I would immediately know, okay, it's probably that. That would save me some time. But again, if you have a 2K source samples, maybe not name them all. I don't know, maybe you let me know. But next one. That was the limiter. Pull back. Again, that's the limiter. We do have some of those kind of resonant points in the low end, which push that limiter to those clipping points. So I would tame that down a bit with something like Soothe 2 myself. Really enjoying this ambience otherwise. Yeah, really cool. What I love is sometimes you get like a beautiful soundscapey sound that has enough, tonality that you can actually detect the pitch. Okay, obviously here it's pretty clear. I love we have that ambience, then we have that sort of, not rain, but bit of crackle, and then you have this tonal element there. I love when you're right at the boundary of tonality and then you start playing with it and you're like trying to make harmony work or a melody in it, then it's like, is it there or is it not? And I love being in that space. This one is far more tonal than that, but it's just something I really like, because then you start thinking, can I make a harmony? Can I make an interval there? That's very nice. But I love that synth element there. It's really nicely done. Yeah, that subtle blip-blop music boxy thing. Super nice. I have to say I'm pretty impressed by the performance here, because I'm looking at the CPU use, looking at the loading here, which seems very fast to me. Usually with these kind of libraries, they get super heavy and cumbersome, so they can sort of just like choke when you are changing presets. Here, no issue regarding that. I think it might have something to do with the non-granularity of it, because I understand granular can get pretty heavy on the system, but it seems like it's done very, like, really well. It seems pretty lightweight, at least here, using this, but maybe it has something to do with the architecture, that it's not as heavy. But yeah, looking at the performance bar in Studio One, seems very low. Yeah, kind of hovering at 8-9% right now in an idle state, which, I mean, you know, yeah, it's low in this context. Next one. Really liking that synth element. Sounds like a alarm in a futuristic dystopian prison or something. Really impressed by the synth elements here, the tonal elements here. They are so far being some of the strongest stuff. And also these dark cinematic drones are super well done. This makes me want to write more dark ambient, like, immediately. Sorry, what happened there? I don't really know. Super cool. Loving those sound design elements there. Again, we have this beautiful drawing in the middle. I just love how you could see the human hand, the mark of a human here. It's beautiful squibble there. Yeah, the load times seem super smooth here. Just happen like that. Bit of limiter clipping there. It's not the library. Pull back the level here. Obviously, the more you play, the higher the level is going to get. That's very cool. Kind of the first one that kind of evoked me to do more of that. Turned out more pad-like than I expected, but very nice. Again, the synth element there is very nicely done. Again, interesting components. I would take some, pretty much always there's like a core thing you want to take and then use and probably dispose with the rest because you hear an idea. Also in the previous preset we got that, or the pad I played, a bit of that kind of challenging the tonality of it, because some of the sample content has obviously those certain tonal qualities, and then it's kind of imparting a sense of a more complex harmony than I'm actually playing here. I love listening to that and pursuing that. We got a good taste of that there, although for the majority of the part it was pretty tonal. But yeah, again, that was the limiter clipping. Again, we get these bursts of that low end. That's going to be... I love that there's dynamics there, but there is, I think, a limit to that. I would probably control those big build-ups with, like, again, something like Soothe to just keep it under tabs, because otherwise it's going to be super tough to mix that. And, you know, depends on how loud you want to go with the low end, obviously, but with some of these, I would keep some of those resonances under control. Yeah, sorry, I haven't been very active with the XY pad, so we're gonna have to do more of that here. When I did press a single key before we started recording, just to get some kind of a level idea going, I heard a very impressive filter here. It was quite smooth sounding. So yeah, I'm gonna try and stay on top of that a bit better. Obviously, not all of these presets are immediately mapped to this, so we might not hear anything on we might not hear something on every one of these. Again, there, it's a pretty smooth, nice sounding curve on that filter. Super cool. I love that. Obviously there's a harmony embedded in there, but I get the taste that I can go in there and tweak things, take them under individual control, and I can work with that. Obviously that would be a really cool chord progression to have, but you know, in case you wanted to do something else, control a bit more, I think would be possible there. Very nice subtle rhythm there. Limiter clipping. Yeah, that's very cool. I would again remove some of the high-end qualities there. Could be a very nice kind of a subtle tension builder, a very subtle rhythm. Yeah, seems like if there's not like a special configured thing happening here, mapped to the XY, then it's going for this filter control, which, you know, I like. And again, sounds pretty darn nice. That was a lot louder than I expected. Limiter clipping. Actually a super cool droney thing. That's kind of like a bell meeting... What does it remind me of? A bell and a horn. Super interesting hybrid there. Very nice. I'd probably, again, take this and split it to a second track so I could work a harmony in there, because if I do it in one, I think that would be just too much. Okay, maybe not. This sounds super nice. love that piano element. Beautiful resonance combining there. Yeah, very cool one. That's a nice one. Okay, so here, for example, the glittery, sparkly thing gets a bit too excessive to my ear. One of the things I thought about what might help me locate which one of those things is the sample here. Obviously, I can visually look at the waveform, which is a good start. I would guess it's this number 4 based on it. So let's try that theory. I'll solo it. So the theory is wrong. Okay, so we were as far away as we possibly could have been. But one of the things that could help me locate it, the waveform control, the frequency analyzer down here where the bars are, Great Addition gives me a general idea of these sounds. If I could have an analyzer the same way on these boxes where you see the waveform itself, I could immediately tell, okay, this sample has content, frequency information in this and that area. That would immediately tell me, okay, it's that one I'm looking for. Or at least in most cases would tell me, okay, that's probably what I'm after, what I want to solo or mute. I would find that to be super useful if I can't, read like a source sample of spark something or glitter something or whatever. Or high end, whatever. Yeah, even like even in the naming, like some information of low, high, high, mid, whatever else, that could be helpful. But I would love this to see the analyzer working just like it does down here with the bars. See that same thing on those waveforms in the source, in the core areas on the source sample itself. Now, maybe that's too heavy for the thing to make any sense, like processing wise. I get it. I don't know how heavy analyzers are, but that would be a cool thing to see. Bit of limiter clipping. Yeah, that's limiter clipping. Again, beautiful deep drones, but some of those resonances really I would need to control. It's not just a level thing, because I would need to drop the level down to levels that don't make sense from a mixing standpoint. But yeah, control some of the resonance. Frontal lobe. This is the part that I'm missing. So yeah, in this one you can clearly see this a bit better, how you can, drag these bars. So this green obviously equates to core number 3. So as I get into that zone, presumably, let's test this theory. So I'm soloing core 3. If I play these notes, okay, it's still playing that area. So what does this actually... Okay, so this is the XY. No. What does this control then? Okay, so it does do... so it's kind of like a... Okay, so we see kilohertz down here. I thought that was just a reference to the pitch. But it's actually... It seems like an EQ thing. In the box here we got some... Oh, it's a filter, I think. So if I put it all the way down, I hear the low end information. So I pull it up, it cuts that out. So yeah, it seems like a filter. And then in this box where you see those, I don't know if this opens up to you in the video capture, but quadrants 50-50, middle only 2, lows, highs, load band filter, safe band filter. Okay, yeah, so, okay, cool. And then you control resonances here as well. Okay, so it's a filter thingy-majingy. I actually really like this visualizer here. I like this visual feedback loop I get here. Because I can look at what's happening here and then cut as intended. So yeah, that's actually super usable. Still not a huge fan of the look of it, but very, very usable. Again, which is the main thing. Marcus, stop being so visual. Really cool, interesting stuff. They really have some good sound design stuff going on there. I'm so impressed by the loading. It's clearly like there's no clipping, no clicking, no popping. There's, I don't know if they like do always like a filtering out or like a automation out before it loads the next one. But even something like that, even if it is that, even if it doesn't load like super smooth, but just, you know, cuts it out before it changes, that's still at the very least like a super user-friendly thing, because not hearing that clicking and popping every time I'm changing a preset it actually feels a lot better. Again, loving that guitar kind of subtle, touchy thingy-majingy. Pushing the tonality of that quite a bit. Beautiful sound otherwise. Nice imaging on this one. a bit of limiter clipping. Again, would be nice to, like, we muted core 3. So you can just mute and find the thing that annoys you, but faster would be nicer. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful dark cinematic drones. It's like cyber monkeys. Ooh, this makes me want to play some Harmony. Kind of wishing I could make the transitions a bit smoother. Like just, So like, I'm thinking even a basic ADSR thing would get me quite far into what I'm looking for. But again, I don't seem to be able to have such a control. We got sample start, but that's not it. Like a glide, would it be one thing? ADSR control. I'm sorry if it's in here, but I just don't have any clue of where it would be located. I would guess it would be in the core boxes. Key mods, we got sequencer. Doesn't seem like I could tweak that, but please let me know if I'm wrong about that. Yeah, this is a great example of that. Like having those elements that are slightly pitchy, and then when you actually do harmony with it, it becomes this sort of entangled mesh of insinuating certain harmony that's kind of not there, but it is there, and I love this kind of stuff. Yeah, very cool. Like, that transported me into a place, and I would love to write a piece with that. So there's no higher praise than that in my book as a composer. Very nice. That is the limiter clipping. Alright, some edgier stuff. Nice to see it kind of branch out into kind of more edgier rhythmic stuff as well. Love that beeping there, beautiful sound designy, tonal stuff. Fantastic, beautiful. Beautiful. Some more rhythm, liking it. Very nice. I'm so far pretty much always liking those ones with more emotion, so at least based on this, wish there were more. A limiter. So yeah, this XY thing and this automation seems pretty powerful, and it seems actually quite inspirational as well. Like, you get, these are very well combined and put together. It's not like, because so often you can put a bunch of sounds together and then do some automation and then it just sounds like crap. But there's, you know, clearly a design and intent behind these. But we don't see, like, most of these don't have an XY automation like this going on. So, you know, probably pretty difficult and tedious to do. But it kind of proves the potential of the concept. Obviously, by no means it's not a new invention, but like I said, it seems like a pretty the technical components that they're putting together to process these samples seems like a pretty different approach, and you know, that kind of shows the potential of that approach. Beautiful. That is the limiter crapping out there, you know, as you can see from the analyzer. Quite a lot of that low resonance information compared to all the other frequency content, which is why it's crapping out the limiter. Yeah, these kind of subtle, dark, rhythmic things, there can't be too many of them ever, almost. They just, it's kind of a difficult thing to nail, I would say, and they're super vibey. But yeah, like probably maybe an under-explored market there, at least in my experience. But I mean, don't get me wrong, plenty of people do that. Plenty of companies do that, but it's just like not a huge ton of those sounds that make it past the test of, is this, does it, you know, cut it? That is the limiter crapping out. Nice kind of a space pad. Again, that was the limiter. Beautiful soundscape. Stunning. Stunning, in fact. Yeah, that's a 10 out of 10. Instant fall in love. limiter. Beautiful. Again, beautiful drawing here in the middle. I think that's like a fetus or something. Jeez, no holds barred? Is that how the saying goes? Public execution. It's just like they're thinking about, like, what should I call this? You know, sounds like someone's being publicly executed, but we should give it maybe a more chill name. And then they're just like, no. Yeah, this is like really interesting. Again, they have these shapes here. Again, you can choose from the XY pad here. Presumably the shape here. This is the first time I saw the star. So it seems like they're underutilizing this. But this is super like creative, super inspiring. You can just change these and see what happens, and then pick what you like and go from there. I actually really like this because it's these drawings are absolutely beautiful. Yeah, but this is really cool because it's like it's the instant thing that can throw you off just enough, just to put you in a different mind space. And I love that these aren't like perfectly symmetric or you know, geometric in that way. It's just like hand-drawn things. And this one as well. But yeah, this is crazy. Super immediately just like puts you in a different place. But yeah, it shows like maybe even themselves, they underuse all the potential of this engine. Obviously that's your job as the musician, but you know, out of the box, seeing more of this, because that's why I love a lot of presets. They kind of teach you what the thing is about. So yeah, these dark drones are super good. Yeah, so what I did there is the humanize button, which saturation modulation, left right delay, stereo width modulation, oscillator drift. Ooh, really liking that. That's a cool control. Anytime it's anywhere, it's a cool control. Cool. Well, that exists. That's what you need to know about that. But yeah, again, super cool to have more control. I know there is a randomize button. Where is it? Is it this one? It doesn't say what it is when I hover on it. It doesn't, no. Where's the randomize? Is it in... Is it in here? No? I don't know where it is. Let's try and find it later on. I know there is a randomize button, but I can't see it anywhere. Maybe it only is available in certain places? What? Unless it's this one. But I don't... Ooh, okay, it's some kind of a... I found it. I found the randomize button. It's a dice cube, as I remembered. Okay, so a lot of these, when you hover on a button, it doesn't bring up a box saying what it does. I think that would be useful to have, because then I wouldn't have to click on everything. Okay, so let's do the randomization after we're done with the presets. Limiter. That's not the limiter, that's actually the sound. These names fire really... Oh, that's loud. These names go hard. Limiter. Beautiful elements there, combining all kinds of inspiration coming to me. That's the limiter. Beautiful sound. Yeah, that's again the limiter. It's a bit of that low-end resonance, which is the case with quite a few libraries where I would control it a bit more. super nice. Again, this kind of emphasizes how the sample source content is pretty diverse, but in terms of knowing what's in there, just gotta play. We did it, I think. Again, I'm not sure if there is some kind of categorization here active, but I think we went through all the presets, at least the ones as far as I can tell. Cool. Hopefully that's useful to somebody. Okay, to summarize this, overall, very impressed. So obviously starting with the most important thing, which is the sound of it. Brilliant sound design. Well, produced, mixed, put together. Clearly some fantastic sound design work going on in here. One of the things I did want to check is whether the manual had a list of all of what the source samples actually are. It does, at least as I'm scrolling through this, it doesn't seem to be the case. I would really appreciate a list of all of those samples. I know it's a lot of work, and if there's 1,700 of them, but even for the more reason for me to, or anyone to want to know what's in there, because again, it would be nice to just see, okay, categorically samples 0 to 100 are this instrument or this style, and then 200, 300, 400 are in this style, or whatever how many there are would be useful. I digress. Yeah, the sound of it, fantastic. So what is the most appealing to me are the dark cinematic drones, which are superbly done, really, really well done. Secondarily, those again, the elements that reside between tonality and the sound design world, that's beautiful. I also like the very minimally tonal things, like the radio beeps and those subtle synthesis elements that are, giving you like a distinct pitch. Those subtle tonal things are super well done. Many of the synths or the synthy sounding elements here, or at least things that are processed to sound a bit more synthy. Very, very impressive. And also did like a lot of those rhythmic elements in there, which I hope there was more. It does, for the most part, have a very distinct sound. Again, it's kind of like sound designy, leaning towards the organic, but then we obviously have a lot of those dark droney elements. So yeah, I guess I could sort of slide into what I think is the biggest challenge that this has, which is probably the branding of it, and the marketing of it. But yeah, the sound of it is great. The source samples must be well sourced. well chosen for them to work in that sound design context so well. But yeah, I mean, in terms of how they're put together, how this is, produced and mixed, fantastic stuff. And again, it does have that cinematic tint, maybe leaning towards those sort of organic elements. Obviously, we have many like electronic sound design things, but yeah, it does have that very, very, it has its own sound. It's not like, hyper diverse in terms of at least what the presets went for. When you have this kind of a design, obviously your imagination is the limit, but the engine, the architecture of it does tilt you towards a certain tone. And yeah, I really like it, but you probably should listen to the presets to get an idea of what it sounds like. Probably the biggest challenge this faces, I would estimate, is the marketing and is the branding, because when I read Sphere, it doesn't really tell me anything about what this sounds like or what it is. And again, obviously the undertitle, second title, what's that called? Anyway, and what did they actually call it here? It was a soundscape designer. That through what the interface and the name and everything here communicates is hard to pull from this. So when I see ultraSPHERE and I see this interface, I don't know what it's about. So I think that kind of an approach where we had more imagery, we had something to communicate to the listener what this is. I would imagine that makes it easier to sell it. But again, everybody has their preferences. Some people don't want to see any of that stuff and they love this approach. But it does require you to, for example, listen to this video and get an idea of what it's about. And again, I just mentioned this as like a potential hurdle for this to get into the right hands, which I obviously want the tool to get to the people who enjoy using it. So it's probably the biggest challenge that I see this have. And again, looking at some of their other products which have very clear visuals, very clear branding, all of that stuff, it kind of makes me, because obviously this is a conscious decision, so it makes me ask why they kind of pivoted away from that. Also, I don't get obviously I read the part of the manual, at least, which we touched on earlier, to understand what techniques, what processes it's using to manipulate these audio sound sources. Still seems like a lot of stuff is under the hood and I can't get access to it, or it's just the stuff that's in here. Like, it doesn't, again, I guess a summary of what this technically does to audio in a 1 or 2 sentence thing, preferably like a 1 sentence, would be super useful. And I get that that's maybe difficult to summarize, but I think it's a worthwhile effort to communicate how it processes sounds. So the first step would be, what does it sound like? What kind of soundscapes, what kind of worlds can I sonically build with this? And, just by looking at an image, a title, a name, I could get an idea of that, because this does have its own sound and it does build those certain kind of cinematic worlds and sounds. So I would love to see that in the visuals, in the branding, in the naming. And secondarily, then have a technical 1 sentence statement of how it achieves doing that. What technologies, what techniques does it use to do that? Also, then going deeper into these sources, I would really love to have, again, it could be just a PDF list of what each of these are. What is the actual source sound? Even just having like the sphere and then a number here, and then what it is. What is this recording? That would make using these a lot easier when you're custom building stuff. Obviously they have these tags here, which makes things a lot easier, But again, we're talking about additional steps to get me closer where I want to go faster, more efficiently. So that would be really cool. Again, the frequency analyzer on the waveform box, just like it is down here in this filter section, would be, again, a streamlining thing that I would love to see. But yeah, in terms of the usability, it's, you know, super clean, super simple, easy to follow, except the randomized dice button could be bigger because it took me some time to find it. But yeah, in terms of that, this is good stuff. Again, I love the potential of this engine and this whole XY thingamajiggy. Again, anything that can instantly throw me in a different headspace is good, creatively speaking. But yeah, the randomize engine. Okay, when you press it, this is what opens up. So you can preset randomize. Okay, so it's just going to pick a random one from there. And then you can secondarily press core source randomization. So it's going to change all of the things that are in here. So, sorry, they're going to change all of the sources, the samples, the waveforms. So you can find like a good preset that, for example, you know, let's try and, yeah, okay, so there was one. Let's try and find something that has, come on, give me a pattern of sorts. There we go. So this one, and then I could, so let's play this one. And then I could just click core source randomization, changes all of the samples. Instant different sound, instant inspiration. This is fantastic stuff. So I can find a pattern that I like in terms of the XY automation, then throw in a bunch of new samples. So this is a pretty, you know, inspiration evoking tool as well, and that's fantastic. Again, I would love to understand more about the, I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand everything that I'm seeing here. Like, it's simple enough, but I just find it difficult to grasp, like, how can I use this myself and tweak these things myself to get to interesting results. Like, it seems like I would want to just randomize this until I find something interesting, and then I can jump in and tweak things, as opposed to from the ground up building something. Because this approach, from a technical standpoint, doesn't personally like light up my brain in terms of, oh, I could do this and this, and all, like, I don't come up with ideas that way. Now, again, you might be different, and we're all different in that regard, but I would find different technical approaches sort of more instantly mappable and understandable. So for me, this would be more like a find a great preset or randomize parameters, then find something I like, then jump in and tweak things. And to be fair, this is how I, for the most part, find interesting sounds. So this might not at all be valid to you in terms of like as a criticism. But yeah, the engine concept of itself, at least based on what I see here, seems to be pretty simple. You know, you got these modulation sources, sequencing, XY mapping. You have your source samples. You have a bit of tweaking on there. So yeah, and again, simplicity isn't, you know, necessarily a bad thing. In fact, often is a good thing. It's about how it comes together to produce interesting results. And indeed, this does deliver in that regard. I just find it difficult to wrap my head around the possibilities of what the engine can do. Because thinking about sound designing through modulation in terms of this way doesn't light up my brain. But again, that could be me. And again, the end results, the actual music is the most important thing. And it does deliver on that front, indeed. But yeah, despite all of the branding aspects or the other visual approaches, it is super easy to follow. The interface from a usability standpoint is really good. Yeah, it's not like super flashy in any way, actually super simple, but easy to follow, easy to locate, other than the randomize button, which could be bigger and maybe in a different place. But yeah, from that standpoint, very easy to use and find what you're looking for. And I also do want to add that I was super impressed by the efficiency of this. It doesn't seem like it takes up a bunch of resources. As I said before, loading presets happens like nothing. There's no popping, no clipping, nothing like that. Again, demands on my CPU seem to be very low, which is very rare and strange for a library like this. Although this doesn't seem to at least use granular synthesis, at least as far as the controls that I can get my hands on. So maybe that's the reason, or maybe they're just coding efficiency wizards over there. But in terms of resource, management and what this demands, seems like this is very efficiently done. So I'm super impressed by that. Or at the very least, the smoothness and non-poppingness of changing the presets is super nice. Cool. I think that is all. Went through all the presets, I think, and shared some thoughts about, well, a number of aspects there. But let me know what you think about this, whether you already grabbed this or you're thinking about grabbing it. And as always, let me know what you think about some of the points discussed here. Otherwise, cool. That's it for this video. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Finished.